As a parent, your deepest instinct is to protect your child, right? To just swoop in and make the hurt go away. It's this powerful, hardwired response. But what if I told you that sometimes the very things we do to help our anxious kids might actually be making their fears worse in the long run? It's a real paradox, so let's dive into it.
This quote from psychologist Ollie Morford just hits the nail on the head. Our gut reaction when we see someone suffering is to try and fix it, to make it stop. But with childhood anxiety, that instinct can accidentally trap them and us in the very cycle we're trying to break. It's a super tricky spot that almost every parent of an anxious child has been in.
So there's actually a clinical term for this. It's called parental accommodation. And really all it means is any change, big or small, that you make in your own behavior to help your kid avoid feeling anxious right now. This could be anything from, ordering for them at a restaurant, to letting them crawl into your bed every night, or even totally rearranging your family's plans to avoid a trigger. And look, accommodation works. It gives you that immediate short-term relief. But the problem is, over time, it can paint both you and your child into a corner. It traps you in this cycle where their world just seems to get smaller and smaller, and the anxiety only gets bigger.
And if you're sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I do this all the time, I want you to hear this. You are so not alone. Research shows that up to 97% of parents of anxious kids use accommodation. This isn't about blame at all. It's a shared, almost universal experience. The goal here is just to understand why it backfires and figure out what we can do instead. All right, so let's get into the first and probably the most common mistake. We're going to call it the avoidance trap. This is basically when we help our kids sidestep the very things that make them anxious.
So for example, our gut instinct might be to just let them skip that birthday party they're scared of. But a resilience-building response? That's helping them go, even if it's just for 15 minutes. See the difference? It's about building the skills to climb over the obstacle, not just removing the obstacle altogether.
So why is this such a big deal? Well, here's why it backfires. And this is so important. Every single time a child avoids something they fear, their brain gets two really powerful messages. Message 1, wow, that thing must actually be dangerous. And message 2, I definitely can't handle it by myself. They never get the chance to learn that the anxious feeling will naturally fade if they just stick with it for a bit.
Okay, let's move on to mistake number 2. This is the one that feels the most loving, the most caring thing to do, but it can be just as counterproductive. It's the reassurance loop.
Oh man, we have all been here, right? Your child is desperate for certainty and you're trying so hard to give it to them. But the thing about anxiety is, it's like a bottomless pit. The reassurance you give only works for a split second before that what-if voice comes right back. It just becomes this compulsive cycle where your child is basically outsourcing their confidence to you, and they never learn to trust themselves.
Now, on the complete flip side of all that reassurance is our third mistake. This one often pops up when, a parent's patience is just running on fumes. We'll call this one emotional dismissal.
When we say things like, you're fine, or just stop crying, our intention might be to help them toughen up. But what the child hears is that their feelings are wrong, that they're invalid. This doesn't actually stop the feeling. It just teaches them not to trust their own emotions, and eventually not to even come to you with them.
Okay. Our final 2 mistakes are kind of 2 sides of the same coin. They both come from the parent's own emotional reaction to the situation.
So on one hand, you've got that tough love approach, what experts call forced exposure. It's like shoving them into the deep end of the pool to teach them to swim. This can backfire in a huge way by being totally overwhelming and even traumatic. But on the other hand, if you let your own anxieties show, if your voice gets all tense when a dog walks by, for example, you're basically sending a giant nonverbal signal to your child that says, yep, you're right, this is terrifying.
So after hearing all that, you might be feeling a little discouraged. But listen, don't be. Recognizing these traps is the huge first step. Now we get to pivot to the solutions. It's time to build your new toolkit. This right here is an absolute game changer. It's a simple 2-step formula. Step 1, you accept and validate their feeling. You're not arguing with it, you're not dismissing it, you're just saying, I see you, I hear you. I can see you're really scared of that dog. Then, and this is the magic part, you express confidence. You're communicating that feeling is real and I believe you are strong enough to handle it.
And for a tool you can use right in the heat of the moment, just remember the acronym LEMUR. Label the feeling, express empathy. Model the calm you want to see. Use your own coping skills to manage your reaction. And then reward their brave behavior with praise. It's just a great little checklist for those high-stress moments.
So what does this all add up to? Well, it's about a fundamental shift in your role as a parent when you're dealing with anxiety. It's all about moving from being a protector to becoming a coach. Think about it this way. A protector's main job is to remove every single obstacle to make sure their child is comfortable right now. A coach, on the other hand, sees those obstacles as opportunities to build skills. A coach is playing the long game. They're focused on long-term resilience, teaching their kid that anxiety isn't something we have to eliminate, but something we can absolutely learn to manage. And that really brings us to the final and most crucial takeaway. This isn't about fixing everything all at once. It's about taking one small step. So I want you to think about it. What is one small, brave thing you can coach your child through this week? That's it. That one little step, that's where the real change begins.